Welcome back, YouTube, to another video. I'm going to go over every single bet that I placed this past week. I'm going to show you the wins and the losses, and I'm going to explain why I took each bet. So before we begin, if I made you money last week, hit that subscribe button, and if I didn't, then follow what I teach you, and I will this week. We've got a long week of bets. I took a lot of bets this week, so let's jump right in because I want to get this in a reasonable time. So start with Monday. We had Tari Eason and Lauri Markkanen. I had over 13 points, over 4.5 rebounds, right? I show you guys the losses, I show you guys the wins, I show you everything. So unfortunately, we started the week with a loss, but it was a sound play, so let me tell you the reasoning behind it. So for the first pick, over in 26 out of 30 games, 8 rebounds in both games versus the Rockets this season. Jazz's top 3 bigs outside Lauri are all out, and even with limited minutes coming off an illness, he was projected for number 2, maybe number 1 rebounder at all times during the game. Over in 4 straight despite limited minutes, and he just needed 5, right? So prior matchup history showed 8 and 8, low line, redistributed rebounding opportunity. This was a perfect play. The game just didn't play out that way. It's fine, it happens, but this still was a good play, and I would take this again in the future. We really just got unlucky with this one, to be honest. For Eason, he's over in 5 out of 5 with 23 plus minutes versus teams allowing top 10 most to spot up shooters. Jazz allows number 1 most to points to spot up shooting, and they allow the number 1 most to transition points. So that's his number 1 and number 2 scoring methods. Perfect matchup with defense and points. He's averaging 19 points a game, and in the 5 games versus top 10 spot up defenses with 23 plus minutes, he played for 30 plus minutes in 5 straight, and the volume and matchup fully aligned. It just didn't convert. So both these were good plays. I'm really surprised not even one of these hit. Luckily, I only put $3,000 on it. I would have put more if the payout was better, so it kind of saved me, because if that was like a 3x payout, I probably would have put $6,000 instead of $3,000, which is 2 units for me. So I put 1 unit on it instead, and it worked out because we only lost $3,000. So moving on to Tuesday. At this point, we're down. I liked 2 plays this week, so I put in, on Tuesday, so I put in 2 plays, and that's fine, Both of them centered around Hart, under rebounds, right? Or RAs. I really like this play, and I wanted to put a little bit more than 2 units on it. So I diversified. I put 1 unit with Knipple and the other with Marshall. I did 1.5 with Marshall. So a total of 2.5 units effectively on the same Josh Hart play. And that's a little bit, a little trick to diversify if you want to put more than 2 units on a play. Without going over your 2 limit or your 2 unit max bet size. So for Marshall, Cooper Flag was out, 7 games without him. He's over in 5, never below 15. So this was a pretty safe play. It ended up working out. He got 21. That's our 4th worst defending shots inside 10 feet, and that's where he scored the most. Bottom 5 defending transition and spot ups, and those are his top play types. And he scored 17 and 22 in 2 prior meetings, and I'm pretty sure that was with Flag. So without him, there's only more opportunity there. And you guys know that I love the opportunity stats. So for Khan, 15 plus in 9 of his last 10, 33 and 18 in the last 2 games versus the Bulls, 46% of points from above the break for threes. And they are bottom 10 in defending that zone. So again, you always got to look up that defense scoring matchup, the style of scoring, especially in threes and points props in the NBA specifically. And then for the Josh Hart play, he's under 12.5 rebounds in 18 out of 20 games with Brunson, OG, Bridges, Towns, and M-Rob active, right? So unless they're facing, I think the only one, well, I guess there were 2 games there, but pretty much the only game that he went over this strongly was against the number 1 rated easiest RA team. So they allowed the number 1 most RAs in the league, and he went over in that game. Duh. So, those are almost outliers. You still got to count them, but they hold less weight than a normal game, to be honest. Cavs are 5th toughest to RA, averages 9.5 in the lineup configuration with all those players active. Under an 18 out of 19 in that lineup when not facing the number 1 pace team, like I said. Cavs are 11th in pace, not number 1. Roll compression and difficult environment, right? So his role is crowded in, and he has a tough matchup. He's not going to go over. And again, he got just under his average, which is still plenty under the line to be comfortable. A comfortable win there. And I paired it with 2 other winning plays. And that brought us now from Monday and Tuesday. That brought us to $4,000 for the week. $5,000, 4,900. So at this point, we're up. We covered yesterday's losses, which is nice. And we're up a little bit, right? So Wednesday comes around. I have 1 play. Again, I still haven't done a 2-unit play this week. I'm being pretty safe. We had a really good week last week, and I'm kind of just riding off that high and putting in slow building plays. I'll put some higher unit plays in later in the week, and you'll see that. But for Wednesday, we had Durham double-double and AJ Green. Durham double-double has been printing. I took it I've been taking this a lot. This is a good play. And it's the odds, it reflects. It's 1.44x. So when I started taking it, it was like 1.6, and it's slowly gotten down. So, it's not really worth a take anymore unless it goes up again. And the team has changed since then too. So, that prop isn't printing like it was, but it's okay. Paired that with AJ Green 3s. He crushed this line, doubled it. So for Duran, without Isaiah Stewart, minutes 29, 29, 37, and 40, right? And he had a double-double in 4 out of 4 of those games. 10 straight regular season double-doubles without Stewart with 10-plus minutes. So when he had less than 10 minutes, he didn't get one. Or there's a couple games he didn't. But he's going to have more than 10 minutes unless something insane happens. Double-double in 20 out of 25 with 29-plus minutes and a massive minute spike projection. So this is exactly what I was talking about. This prop has been absolutely printing for me. And I paired that with AJ Green, 2.5 threes, 6 out of 7 back-to-backs. Only miss was 2 for 8, but the volume was there. He had 8 shots, right? He just only made 2 of them. And it's only that's a hook, half a point short or half a 3 short. Cavs all the 6th most catch and shoot, and Green over in 9 out of 13 versus bottom 6 catch and shoot defenses, under in 3 straight and regression spots. So he's coming off good games. He's really good in back-to-backs, and the shooting matched up. It was a good prop, 1.83, really good payout on a single prop. That's why I paired it with this, 2.64x and 1.5 units. Again, if this was higher, if the Duran play was 1.6x, I probably would have put 2 units on it, but I did 1.5 instead. So that brings us for the week up now Wednesday, up to $12,000, $300 profit. So going into Thursday, we had KD and Powell, right? Luckily, so the screenshot doesn't reflect it, but this prop got voided because he got injured and taken out at the beginning. So this got completely voided for us, which is amazing, and it returned $6,000, so 2 units. So this was a net 0 day. KD points, he's over at 13 out of 13 versus top 9 spot-up defenses. Magic are the 6th best. These teams don't double aggressively. He averages 32.5 PPG in those versus those defenses, and he scored 35 versus Magic earlier this season. So under in 2 straight, hadn't gone under in 3 straight since Christmas. Bounce back plus defensive profile aligned. You know it's going to be a good prop. And what did he do? He dropped 40 on him. 40 on a 25.5 point line. So that's a really good performance. Probably could have alt-lined this up, actually, which is something I very, very rarely do, but sometimes I'll do it when I'm really confident in a prop like this. And I think the book has just completely mispriced the line. Because when you alt-line down, the odds go down really quickly, but it also does the exact same thing when you alt-line up. If you alt-line up, just 2-3 points, those odds jump up and you can get a really good payout a lot of the times. So it's not something I do all the time, but if there's a prop like this where he's just crushing the line, this is a safe. This is when I could have done 27.5 or 28.5, maybe. 28.5 is pushing it. For Powell, over in 2 out of 3 cents break, over in 3 out of 5 overall, averaging 22.5 points per game, 56% hit rate on the season. That's really good for a season average. 30 minutes a game, and he's averaging 22.3 without Jovic. So over in 5 out of the last 8 without him, Sixers allow the 4th most points to shooting guards, and he's over in the last 5. 49% field goal percent on 14 field goal attempts, 37% from the 3 on 8 attempts, but he got voided. Good play. I think he probably would have cashed this, Either way, voided, $6K returned. That keeps us at a profit of $12,300 for the week, right? So going into Friday, This was our first two unit play, and it was because it had a really good payout. That SGA play 6.5 was perfect. 6 grand into 20 grand on this play because it's that 3.46. So Derek White under points. He's under in 5 out of 5 versus teams, top 3 versus pull-ups, and top 10 versus pick and roll ball handlers. That's your number 1 in that profile, right? So the hardest possible matchup for him. Under in both prior matchups versus them. They allow the 4th least above the break threes, 50% of White scoring, and 18-point spread blowout risk. If they're up too much, he's going to leave the game, and that is exactly what they did. They dropped 148 points on him, and the Nets only scored 111, I think. So SGA line discounted due to injury return. This was a great prop. I'm gonna make a reel about this later on my Instagram. Follow me at Elijah Perhala. I'll pop it up on screen. I do giveaways. I do tons of stuff, tons of free education. On YouTube, I don't do as much education as I do on there. So go check it out if you want to learn more. But anyway, SGA, this line was discounted due to injury return, right? So he's just coming back. Earlier versus the Nuggets, he had 13 assists on 21 potentials. 21 potential assists is insane. Denver aggressively brings help. Williams and Mitchell are still out, so that he has that assist concentration. His minutes were around 30, and the passing lane's consistently open versus Denver's scheme, right? So he's been cooking this line, coming back from injury, so the line is discounted, but his people are out that are giving him assists, and when a player's injured, a lot of times they'll get more assists, because if they get crashed on, they're even. I mean, it depends on how recovered they are, but if they're still a little bit injured at all, they'll be more prone to give those assists out. And that's exactly what happened with this play. And he got 9 on 6.5. I was thinking he was going to get at least 10, to be honest. So glad he cleared the line. That's really all that matters. So Friday, big day. That brings us to a total of 27 grand profit for the week, right? So huge day. Huge day. Saturday, 1 play, 2 units, Brandon Miller and Sadiq Bey. So for Miller, he's averaging 8.1 RA in the season, 4.9 rebounds on 9.2 chances, 3.5 assists, 3.4 assists on 6.5 potentials, cleared in 6 out of 10. But Portland is 25th in rebounds allowed to small forwards and 25th in assists allowed to small forwards, right? So really good matchup. He's averaging comfortably above the line, especially on a low line like this, and 4 out of 5 clears versus both bottom 10 teams in those categories. So he's been cooking teams that have bad defense like that. For Bey, Murphy was out 5th straight game, 20 plus minutes in 5 out of 6 without Murphy, and usage jumps from 20% to 24%, which is a pretty big jump. 54% of his points are from above the break free 3, left corner 3, and non-restricted paint, right? So Jazz ranks second last defending all of those zones. So crazy points matchup here. And, I thought he was going to blow them out, to be honest, but he didn't have a ton of minutes, and it wasn't a high-scoring, fast-paced game. So that zone-specific matchup is all we needed, and it was a mismatch, and it helped us win, and that's all that matters. Also, he was coming off 42 versus Utah recently, so you knew he was going to cook them. Finally, Sunday, final play, a 3x play. I had Giddey and Klingon. For Donovan, he's over in 10 out of 12 back-to-backs, 7 straight now. Robert Williams sits every B2B. Atlanta allows 11th most points to centers, 5th most rebounds to centers. They lack interior size. Shot chucker Sharp out. Denny possibly out. He had 21 PR earlier versus Atlanta. Not a great game. Volume plus matchup plus B2B trend. And he's going to cook. So for Josh Giddey, only 1 out of 5 cents return, but matchups were bottom 10 point guard RA defenses. Minutes back to 28 last game. Last game he had 6 boards on 10 chances, 9 assists on 15 potentials, and the Bulls are missing their guards, Ivy and Simmons, right? So Smith and Williams are out, rebounding boost. Bucks allow the 5th most rebounds to point guards and the 4th most assists to point guards. 16 RA on 26 minutes, 21 RA in 35 minutes versus Bucks this season. Ideal matchup, and his minutes were just leveling out, and the line hadn't caught up yet, so I took this and I paired it with Donovan. and it came out to a nice 3x play, right? So that wraps it up for the week. We ended up going up $53,000 this week. This number doesn't match up. I don't know what's going on here. I have to fix my Excel sheet, but 53 grand. And that's profit, right? So I staked 40 grand, just under 40 grand for almost a $100,000 total won this month. So absolutely insane week. Soon I'm going to have to up my bankroll once again and start putting more up my unit sizing because we're getting, right now my account, my bankroll is 300 grand. So I've been making a lot these past few weeks, and I think I'm going to up it to 400 grand and up my unit size from 3,000 to 4,000. So my 2 unit plays are going to be 8 grand now. So, if I get a 3x on an 8 grand play, that's $16,000 profit instead of 12. So it adds up a lot, especially when I'm taking a lot of 2 units and I'm getting a lot of 3x payouts. Either way, that is it from me. If you need a book to use, I use Chalkboard. They have the best low-risk props. They have a ton of promos that you can maximize everything. Really good for bankroll efficiency. But most importantly, if you use code ZPX when you sign up, you get 100 in free promo credit to start betting with. You get 100% deposit match, which effectively doubles your starting bankroll. So if your starting bankroll is $100, put in $100. Now you have $200. You doubled your bankroll, and you get the free 100 promo. Free half a point pick. So like LeBron over a half a point. Best odds out of all the under 21 betting apps. I'm over 21 and I still use Chalkboard. I don't use like FanDuel or anything. So you're not using any of your own money at first if you want to do this. If you sign up and use code ZPX, you get the $100. You can double your bankroll. You can even just take your money back out if you want and just bet with the promo. And if you lose it, it was never your money to start. So there's literally no downside. Go download it. Code ZPX gets you all that stuff. It's the app I use. It's the app I have all my students use. And they have tons of promos every day. You get a booster pack every day. Anyways, that's it for me. See you guys. Peace.